So, just like in any guard, we're going to want to break posture down. You see how I'm doing it with the knee pull, right? So I'm going to clear hands to make sure they're not in the center of my body, because that's what's going to stop me from doing an effective knee pull. So I'll do something of this fashion, right? Or I will do something of this fashion where I'll actually lift up my hips. So I put your frames in, right? I'll lift up my hips, come underneath, and then knee pull. Does that make sense? Okay. So any variation of that, one-handed, two-handed, whatever alleviates the pressure of your center, stopping me from doing this, right? If that means up here, that means here, all the same thing, right? Okay. If that means doing this, right? Okay, so once we break the posture, we're actually going to take an overhook, right? Normally I'm an advocate for the underhook, specifically because you can stand up easier. We want people's posture broken and to stay, right? And I'm not going to stay in line with you.
Get offline.
I'm going to come here, and this foot is going to come on top of the back. Now, it's not just going to lay on top like this, right? And this foot's not just going to dangle here. This foot's going to engage on the hip, right? As you feel how there's tension there now, right? Pressing slightly away. And then this knee is going to try to cover your shoulder, right? You see how the higher it gets, the worse that kind of downward pressure gets, right? So you're going to be here, take it over, plant that foot, kind of outsource, come on top, plant, get further away, right? And you feel how that leads straight down. Okay.
Ironically, I was going to ask about working from escapes from the bottom.
We don't escape. We don't need to escape. We're attacking from bottom today.
That's fair.
Right. So overhook, create space, create this whole thing. Right. AK playing this type of side guard. But this is what I can Swiss arm. This position. All right. So as a requisite, we can always press people's heads away and fill the gap with their own feet. Right? So I'm here, press the head away, and I can connect my hand to my own, and then make them look up. They've got an easy go. Right? We're going to turn for the camera so they can see it.
Just put your toe in my nose.
Yep, something like that. Right? So overhook or underhook, we can get to the same positioning, right? But once I'm here, this underhook can be very powerful for a razor lock. The overhook keeps that lower on my body, which makes me more movable. I think this, once I pass the arm over, I have better be going to the back.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I prefer, for control, this positioning. Right? And again, we push the head away, right? We insert our foot, right? And we either grab the head, right, just like so, and pull them towards us, right? Or we allow them to kind of sit up, right? And you see how when you start to rotate forward, it puts the shin.
Made it worse.
Exactly. So like once because I'm gonna keep your arm, right? And I'm just gonna put my shin against your throat and the ability to extend, right? And the head can't leave because the shoulder's trapped, right? So if I strictly hold this in this fashion, pull your arm, right? So if your arm can't leave, that means your shoulder can't leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Again, I feel like a dog trying to look up.
Right? So this is an air choke, right? So it's not like the most effective style of choking, in my personal opinion. And people can dogfight out of it, etc. But they've got 3 minutes to work that position. Unless you want to break their fucking arm. No.
Oh, high rate tone.
Right? Because you can break it, I just don't recommend it. Anyway, so underhook still works. I prefer overhook. So I'm going to get them roped down, get offline, right? See how I'm maintaining space, keeping here, right? And in this space, I'm going to have them look away, connecting my hand and my foot, right? And push away again, or I can just slide it in. Now, arm bar wise, even just putting my leg on top of your, my thigh on top of your arm, right? And just slight bridge up, right? Contracting my knees together like I would do any kind of shoulder pinch, right? Your ability to leave, can you like leave?
Not without. Yeah.
Right? So like people would say I'm not like really holding you here because you could just kind of like walk out that way. It's because there's no tension. Once I have tension, like so,
Yeah.
right?
You ain't walking that shit out.
Pull out,
No.
right? I'm not holding anything, right?
I mean,
but there's some good
there's grip
connection.
fighting, but it's not with your hands.
Good connection.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of like what we're looking for initially. I'll use that for a second.
I was like, I don't straighten that way.
All right, so we're here. Right, again, foot on top. Right, I can always post on the other side with my heel to give myself space to attack the arm back. Right, so I'm going to use that gripping. Right, come on top. I'm going to connect. Like I'm going to pinch my knee. And I'm going to connect my heel, and my heel can kind of like press away, but it also can drag me in. Right, so this is like a way of grabbing with my leg. This is a hook. Right, but also press away. Right, so I'm here on this arm, and I need some distance. Now I'm in a different angle of attack. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And like here, we can break and still go. Tracking so far? Perfect. Okay.
As much as I can track while not being able to see.
Breaking posture, right? Getting the overhook, cutting the angle, right? Connecting, right? And from here we can either extend or we can, in fact, swap over to the head variation to where we can feed into either triangles.
Oh, what the fuck?
Right? We just take that kind of headlock.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Right? Or, again, we'll go for arm lock style, right? Instead of the air quote, like straight bar that I was doing there, we're going to continue to feed them to the floor, right? Arm passing through, right? My foot's going to go to the back of your head, just like so, to a belly down arm bar.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, though?
Yes.
There's one drive through, okay? That being said, switch that way just a little thing.
It was kind of funny because I was like, all I see is blue.
So we're here, same variation, right? Everyone wants to go for the underhook, right? Because they're trying to use it to get your back. So we're going to, again, come out more sideways and then come on top.
Oh, shit.
Same thing, right? Where am I?
Same exact position.
Right, I can get further distance, same braking, right? So I'll be here, right? People dive for that underhook, cool, right? Pull, right? Easy break, easy break.
I look like a DV victim by the end of this.
But does that make sense? Easy enough to follow. Okay. So, let's say they get wise, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going for the underhook. And they put their arm to the mat, right?
It's not a safer position.
Nope. It's not, right? Because it follows the principles of the armbar, right? Because they're posting, right? I'm going to take that post away, right? And I'm going to try to be nice to your thumb because I want you to be able to catch yourself, but realistically, I'm not going to let you catch yourself because we're going to the ground. Yeah. Pull, right? And we're going to fall.
How do you catch yourself in there?
Well, I'm letting your hand connect.
Oh, okay. I was like,
right? If I don't let your hand connect, you're coming face down with me.
fair.
Right? So like, if I'm here and you put your hand for the underhook and you're like, oh, this is bad, you see I'm letting you post.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you post.
Okay.
See, I'm on my elbow. I wouldn't be on my elbow, and we're falling together, right?
Yep.
And you feel how that's an easy break?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this being said, we're going to go over armbar. Yep. Armbar braking mechanics are all very simple, right? Can I break your arm like this?
With only that hand?
Only this hand.
I don't know.
The answer is not really, right?
Okay, I was like...
I mean, so like, even in this fashion, it only gets close to breaking right here, right?
Yeah.
But why?
The ability of the shoulder to move, the inability of the elbow to bend.
Exactly. So we need a straight limb, right, for us to perform an arm bar first. So we don't perform arm bars like this, right? When an arm's bent, we twist it, right? Rotation, that's how we destroy, right? If an arm's straight, we break it using the ability to apply more force. Now, again, there are mechanics to it, aka we look at how the arm moves, right? If I'm trying to break your elbow and you start rotating your wrist around, right, the easier it is for you to curl it, correct? So the straighter I have your arm, right, aka the more in line I have your thumb in the directional force that I'm applying, right, and the shoulder rotation is limited, right, the more increased likelihood I have to break this. And the least likely time I have to break this is the more bent it is, and the least amount of control I have of where this hand is.
Okay.
So if I'm trying to apply force this way, and you tuck your thumb, right, the opposite direction, this will, so can you try to break my arm, right? You see how you can only apply that force, keep trying.
Yeah, because the thumb, as soon as the thumb rotates out.
It's not just the thumb though, the thumb is an indicator, right, of the rotation. Do the same thing, right? I'm going to not move my thumb.
Oh, the elbow.
Not just the elbow, but yes, right? So apply force to the elbow.
Okay.
What am I actually doing?
You're bringing the shoulder down and back.
Exactly. So this is a shoulder movement, and this is why we isolate shoulders, right? We can just see the visual cue and the control that we can imply on a shoulder through the form of extension.
That's why with an arm
This
bar
is
you
the
got
end
to
of the
the
lever.
knees.
Exactly. So
Okay.
we're controlling the shoulder's movement, but how do I control? I'm at the edge of the lever, right? What am I doing? I'm applying it. Can you rotate your limb?
No.
Right? And that's because I'm controlling it at the end of the lever, and I'm applying force along the way, right? But what I'm actually doing is I'm isolating the shoulder out through either pre-existing rotation or the inability to move through tension, right? We can do the same thing in compression,
Okay. Yep.
right? Let's say that you're pinned against the floor, right? Like so, right? And I do this.
Oh, that sucks.
Can you now move your arm?
No.
Right? Now, let's say I'm even like this, right? Less control. You want to bend your arm, right?
Yeah.
Now we get to the floor, right?
Oh.
They can't see this on camera. Just, well, we're going to start right back over here fast. Anyway, so you're on the floor, right? Assuming that I can apply pressure down,
Yeah.
right? Or apply pressure in, right? And you cannot move, aka you're on your side, right? This makes this braking mechanic very easy.
That's
Right?
Yeah.
And we get this kind of braking mechanic when we are sitting on people, right? And we're not pulling their arm out, right? We actually compress their arm in, right? And then apply. You feel how worse,
yeah. That's
how much I can just,
yeah. That's
easy break, right? I can literally just press in, rotate your shoulder,
can't.
right? I'm locking you in through a type of compression
Yeah.
and a type of extension through tension. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, once we can understand that it's all about the shoulder mobility, this is just an indicator of how effective we are being at controlling the shoulder. Okay? So, when we do things like so, and you see people who are like, I have my feet over, right? And I'm doing all the things, and I can't break his arm. Why can't I break his arm? Right? Look how much rotation and everything you get. Because my knees aren't tight. Now I tighten my knees up a little bit. Rotate your arm. Right? That indicator got a lot smaller, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, rotate your arm. You can do it whatever way you want. Right? Rotate your arm. Right?
Yeah.
How much easier is that?
Shorter distance.
Now, let's make a different assumption.
Oh.
More powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
Right, so now I've shut down that rotation. I'm also closing it. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Right, so anytime that we are able to remove the ability for the shoulder to move, we can now apply a braking force. Not a typical armbar, right?
No.
Right? But this is very easy to break your arm. You feel how I could break that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So this is just an armbar principle.
Okay.
Right? So once we learn the mechanics of breaking someone's arm in this fashion through extension, right? Extension being hyperextension of the elbow, not extension being like the pulling, then making a distinction, because I already talked about how you can do both through compression and extension. Yeah. Doing for hyperextension of the elbow, right? We do so through the control of the shoulder and the force applied behind the point to where the elbow actually can move. We are choosing a different pivot point for the elbow. If I do it in front of the elbow, right? Not very effective, but you can still kind of cause some kind of pain. You do it directly on the elbow, less effective, but you can you still do it, right? Right behind it. What do you instantly want to do? You want to sit up, don't you? Right? And that's why we control the shoulder. Let's say you can't sit up.
Oh yeah.
Easy, right? Easy break.
That's
This is the whole principle of why you can catch it on arm bars in any position that you can control someone's shoulder, right? And the elbow.
okay.
Granted, you have to be able to have their arm and elbow like extended,
Yeah.
right? You can't, when someone's trying to take your back, boom, right? Someone's on your back, right? Come to my back take. Where is your arm, right? Where's the elbow? Where's the shoulder, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That elbow's under control. Another type of break where I put the elbow literally over my own shoulder, right? So like we see that we can do these types of things in literally any positioning where we can trap and remove the ability for the arm to move, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Tracking so far? Perfect. So, going back to half guard.
Do after that.
So when we're here, right, and we're looking, and they get that gap, right, we come here, and we swoosh, boom, breaking them down. You see how this arm is under control, because how's your ability for you to rotate?
Really can't.
Right? Because you are being controlled and pinched.
Yeah.
Right? The closer I get to your shoulder, the worse it gets, isn't it?
Yeah, it's less force
Right,
needed.
that's why I put my foot on the hip and I get a little bit more extension, right? And that also gives me more leverage and distance to apply force. My hands can get this far. Can your hand get that
No.
far? Right? It cannot. Right? So, but my ability to do this exists. Right? That's the extent of my hand.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only limit of the break. Well, we're not going to get there.
No.
Another half inch on that. So like, those are the things we're looking for when we're doing arm bars. One, do I have the prerequisites to break someone's arm, aka shoulder control and the elbow, right, and a straight limb? Then, do I have enough space to apply enough force to break it? Because if an arm's against the mat,
You can't apply that.
you can't apply any force because it won't travel. This is why arm bar, take your toes, right? This is why if we were trying to break an arm like this, right, there's little force pressing down and all the force pressing up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Because the breaking power is now upwards, not down. I just can't let the arm leave the floor, right? Once something's wedged underneath, if there's force driving up, then we win, right?
Okay.
But I can't drive any more force down. This isn't going to break your limb, is it? No, mildly uncomfortable, if that, right? But it's not going to break your arm.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because the floor is going to stop the
Yeah,
force.
there's no, the pivot point is pivoted out.
The amount of distance traveled has
Yeah.
reached the point it can travel.
Okay.
Now we can change this, right?
Yep.
Because now how far can I push my arm? How far can you move your arm?
Not that far.
Right? Because there's a wedge in between it.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to apply those same principles to every type of arm lock that we do.
Okay.
Is that making sense for you?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. From that kind of bottom positioning, we're going to do another feed, but I'm going to go into a higher guard versus a lower guard.
Okay.
Right, so instead of being offline, I'm going to stay in line, right? And I'm going to just get my legs higher, right? Just like so, right? You see, I only picked one side though, right? And with this, I'm either going to choose what hand I want, right? And I prefer to be under in these cases because it allows me to trap the arm in my neck space, right? And then allows me to again come offline or to come more in line and bypass, right? But the braking mechanics are all still there, right? So if we're staying in line and getting higher, like so, I prefer underhooks versus overhooks. I think overhooks, right, like so, although allow us the space, they don't allow us the control after the space is gained. Because what can you do with your hand? You can tuck it. You can do all that other kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't allow me the control of the periphery. So I prefer one underhook and then to work up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? This, where to go? Now it's my center. Easy breaks, right?
Yeah.
Like the traditional good old,
Jujigatami.
right? I'm gonna break your arm and guard.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we're gonna kind of do something similar, right? We're gonna have that underhook. We're gonna get that space first, right? Now that I'm way out here, I cross it around the body, pull it away,
All it does is make food.
right? See how easy that is?
Yeah.
This leg is free floating, but it's trapped against my body, right? And I just travel that leg over, apply the same principles. Your shoulder is now compressed, right? And now how it's easier for me to extend. Tracking? Okay. Do you want to give those a try?
Kind of.
Okay. Hope. So, we're going to do something pretty simpler. Okay. So I'm going to be here, same kind of guard positioning, right? We're going to do the same knee pull, again, protecting the core. All right, I'm going to connect to the head first, and then I'm going to shoot for that under, right? Again, pinching them together and extending. And you see how I'm cutting that angle, picking aside, right? And here, I'm actually going to let go, right? Just like I was in the shoulder crunch style.
Yeah.
Right? You see how I'm here, got that type of, I'm extending away almost, but keeping control, right? This foot is going to plant. This foot is going to plant on the knee, taking away the base. And this again allows me to go over, right? Or to come into the triangle, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to do a go-go. Right? Overhooking, right? Because the go-go, I want more space for my knee to be able to travel. If I'm underhooked, my knee
You're fighting your own arm.
is kind of not going to be able to travel because my elbow is there. Right? It can still do it, but I have to get distance first, and now it's gone. Now I can do it. Right? The overhook, right? There's never a time that my foot can't cross this plane. Does that make sense? Now, with the overhook, I can also ditch it, right? And strictly go straight to it. I don't recommend this, right? But you can. But you can also always, you see how this foot and this foot are like kinda, okay. This is the foot that's gonna come across, right? So I'm gonna literally come like this, take the arm, turning it, come here.
Oh, that's nasty.
Right? And from here, now I'm going to come on top.
Yeah.
You see how I've broken this down?
Yeah.
You see how both of my legs are very capable of coming into the fight now?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm about to get foot and mouth disease, but yes.
So I think many people make the mistake of, when going for that higher attack, of putting the wrong foot in front first. Right? Here, you see how I can control
you're
the
still
distance and
squishing me.
everything? Right? Now, I'm going to turn your elbow towards me, like so, right? But while I'm doing that, I'm going to drag this foot in front. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you feel how I can choke you?
Yeah.
You feel how I can choke you? right? So this is that version of a go-go, right? That is a little different than how most people approach it.
It's like an omoplata with flair.
Yeah, so can you pull away from me? I'm not holding your hand right now. See how you can stack me?
Okay, I was like, I feel
Right.
like this is a trap.
No, exactly. You stacked me, right? Now, why am I keeping this overhook?
Because I can't.
Now try to stack me, right? What's it feed right back in? Now grab my foot, right? And pry it down. Where are we going?
Into a somersault. I really feel like I'm gonna. Nope.
We go straight into the Omo,
Yeah.
right? Or we go into the front-facing go-go, or like the what we call the rear leg, right? You use that other leg, right? Because they're pulling you down, right? So what happens when you pull me down? Pull me down. What happens to my hip,
It wants to turn that way.
right? So as soon as it starts to turn,
Yeah.
how easy is it for me to put my knee over your shoulder? Does that make sense?
Basically pulls your knee into my shoulder.
Exactly. So I'm getting rotated in here, right? So then you're going to want to sit up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then if I want to be mean, put my own foot together. Spicy.
Again, I feel like that's something you do if somebody insults your mother.
No. My mom's a real nice lady.
Mom's insane. Okay, she's insane.
But do you understand how I'm employing my feet, how I'm getting them past your shoulders? And you don't have small shoulders by any means. Right? You're not a small man, right? And I'm making this work through your thickness.
Yes.
Right? Why? It's because the angle. It has nothing to do.
You're cutting the angles.
Exactly. So like the ability to maneuver space, right? You are in between me right now. If I want to move over here with my legs are now over there, and yet you are still in between me, right? We're essentially doing the same thing, right? Where I want my feet to come past your shoulders, right? But I have a limitation of movement, right? But as soon as I start coming sideways, right, the ability for me to travel around that space is a lot smaller. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason why I'm not staying like this, right, is because your ability to fuck me up like this is way too powerful, right? Because you can literally just either pick me up, slam me on my neck, stack me on my fucking neck, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? If someone does that, just open up your legs. Right? So go ahead and do it. Right? They go here. Open up your leg.
Yeah.
Right? And then just extend it out. Go back to the attack. Right? Because can openers, they don't work if you open up your legs.
Yeah.
Or you go to can opener. Right?
Yeah.
Pinch their elbows together. And then triangle and armbar them. Because they're being rude.
That's her.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me how a go-go works?
Downward pressure, upward pressure.
Restriction of movement. Every choke requires there not to be movement or some force to apply to the other side. But if you've seen, all the go-go's that I've done have only really been one directional, except for the one where I'm putting this foot in front, and I have my back foot right on top of the other side,
Okay.
right, causing a scissoring motion, right? But all the other ones, aka here, I'm not stopping you from going.
Well, you're pulling that.
I have your mobility to go under my control, right? So when you can't raise or move, right, I don't need that other force like I would here if we squared up,
Okay.
right? If we're squared, right, I have to have some form or fashion, right, where I put my foot in the back of your head or some shit like that, give you a hat, right, make you a fucking Robin Hood or whatever. But as soon as I do something like this where we're on the knee, right, I no longer need to apply the force, right?
Yeah.
Because the force is you meeting my leg. The back force It's just your ability or inability to leave, right? So
Okay.